Hello, I'm Khadija Jainal.
And I'm Sonia Nawaz, and we are the students at the Department of English Language and Literature at the University of Bahrain.
Welcome to our Advanced Grammar series. Today we shall talk about transitive verbs, which are a type of verb. But before we talk about transitive verbs, let's take a quick look at what verbs are. Verbs are words that denote actions, states of being, or links a word to another word in a sentence. Now, transitive verbs are verbs that have objects. So, what are objects? We'll find out in a bit. Transitive verbs are two types, monotransitive and ditransitive. So, what are monotransitive verbs? A monotransitive verb is a verb that takes two of the following arguments, a subject and a single direct object. So, what is the subject of the sentence? The subject of a sentence is the person, place, thing, or idea that is doing or being something. It can be a noun, a pronoun, a gerund, an infinitive, or a clause. Now, objects are words that receive the action of the verb. Objects can be noun phrases, pronouns, or clauses. Now, let's look at an example to understand better what monotransitive verbs are. For example, he stole the camera. If we analyze this sentence based on what we have learned, there should be a subject, a verb, and a single direct object. So here, he is the subject of the sentence or the doer of the action. Stole is the verb of the sentence as it shows the action of stealing. The camera is the direct object of the sentence as it is receiving the action of being stolen. Or we can say the action of being stolen is directly linked to the camera. Therefore, stole is a monotransitive verb as it has only one direct object, the camera. A quick tip, objects can be noun phrases, pronouns, or clauses. Here are a few more examples to understand better what monotransitive verbs are. First example, I bought a cat. Here, I is the subject or the doer of the action, bought is the verb as it shows the action of buying, and a cat, which is a noun phrase, is the direct object. Therefore, bought is a monotransitive verb. Similarly, the cat bit me. Here, the cat is the subject of the sentence or the doer of the action. Bit is the verb as it shows the action of biting, and me, which is a pronoun, is the direct object. Remember, we said objects can be noun phrases, pronouns, or clauses. Last example, the chef ate his own soup. Here, the chef is the subject or the doer of the action. Ate is the verb as it shows the action of eating, and his own soup, which is a clause, is the direct object. Therefore, ate here is a monotransitive verb. Now, an easy tip on how to determine if a verb has a direct object. To determine if a verb has a direct object, always ask whom or what after it. For example, he wrote the manuscript. Ask yourself, he wrote what? Answer, manuscript, which is the direct object.
Now we move to the ditransitive verbs. We'll talk about what ditransitive verbs are. Sometimes the verb takes two objects. One of the two objects, as we learned before, is the direct object, and the other one is the indirect object. The direct object is the object that receives the action of the verb directly. It's usually a thing. The indirect objects are the objects that are usually the recipients of the direct objects or the ditransitive verbs. These objects are the people or thing the action is being performed for. Let's take an example to understand the difference between direct object and an indirect object in a better way. For example, if we say, Sarah bought a new laptop. Here, laptop is the direct object since the action of being bought is directly linked to the laptop. Therefore, bought here is the monotransitive verb. However, if we say, Sarah bought a new laptop for her younger brother. Laptop here, as we said, is the direct object. Younger brother is the recipient of the direct object, or we can say that Sarah's younger brother is the person for whom the action of buying is done. The verb bought here is ditransitive verb. A ditransitive verb can take two possible structures. First structure is the verb, which is followed by the indirect object, which is followed by the direct object. For example, Alice is giving Max a haircut. Here, Max is the indirect object who is receiving a haircut, which is the direct object. Anthony presented Laura a beautiful silk dress. Here, Anthony is the subject who has presented the beautiful silk dress to Laura, who is the indirect object. The beautiful silk dress here is the direct object. Another possible structure is verb, which is followed by the direct object, which is followed by either to or for, which is followed by the indirect object. For example, if we say, William shall give a beautiful gift to his wife on her birthday. Here, William is the subject, give is the ditransitive verb, gift, which is the direct object, is given to his wife, which is the indirect object of the sentence. Helen baked a cake for her best friend Maria. Baked is the ditransitive verb, which has taken two objects, cake, which is the direct object, and Maria, which is the indirect object. Let's take some more examples to understand ditransitives in a better way. For example, David offered Mary his favorite pen, or David offered his favorite pen to Mary. Here, David is the subject who performed the action of offering the direct object pen to the indirect object Mary. Tony told the news to his assistant, or Tony told his assistant the news. Here, Tony, the subject, performed the action of telling the news, which is the direct object, to his assistant, which is the indirect object. The staff has prepared a farewell for the general, or the staff prepared the general a farewell. Here, the staff is the subject or the doer of the action prepared the farewell, which is the direct object, which is prepared for the indirect object, the general. Let's review what we learned. We learned that transitive verbs are the verbs that have objects. We learned that there are two types of transitive verbs, monotransitives and ditransitives. A monotransitive verb has a subject and a single direct object. The subject is the doer of the verb, and the object is a thing or person that receives the action of the verb. Ditransitive verbs have two objects, a direct object and an indirect object. Direct object is an object that receives the action of the verb directly. The indirect object is a person or thing the action is being performed for, or the indirect object are also people to whom the direct objects are given. Here, a key word to remember is to and for.
This presentation was prepared and presented by myself, Khadija Jainal,
And Sonia, Nawaz, that's me.
and it was presented under the supervision of our professor, Dr. Lamia Al-Kuheji. So we would like to thank her for all her support and supervision and for guiding us. Also, we would like to thank our technical supporter, Mr. Abdullah Al-Muslimani. Thank you very much. And we hope you enjoyed this presentation and hopefully it will help you as well. Thank you.